Hey folks, this is Keough here, and I wanted to do another video log because I haven't done one of these in a while, and actually was just thinking about this as I was making dinner, so I'm going to do it right now. We'll see how this turns out, but as of, I want to say last week, maybe the week before that, I reconnected with someone from my lifting past, from when I really started on my powerlifting journey, whatever that means. And I wanted to relay to you the story of how I got started competing in powerlifting, or even just training in powerlifting, or even just knowing what powerlifting even was. This was back in, I want to say, 2007, 2006, and I had been training for a little bit at that time. I was around 20 years old, 21 years old. I had been in the gym for about a year or so, and was training pretty aimlessly, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my training, and I ran across a few guys in my home gym. Now, keep in mind that this home gym it's absolutely a commercial gym, caters more towards an older clientele. The primary source of revenue at this gym is actually tennis, so the gym itself is more of an afterthought. So you won't find a lot of serious lifters at this particular gym. But I ran into a few guys. One guy whose name was Dan, another one whose name is Mike, and his father Ralph. And Dan had actually competed before. He competed when he was a little younger. And they met me back when I was, want to say, around 160 pounds, but I look pretty different from how I do right now. I'm around, well, not quite 160 pounds right now, but my body composition is certainly different from when I was 160 back then. But anyway, they met me when I was around 160 pounds. I just started bench pressing. I hadn't really done any deadlifting, and my squatting was the sort of squats that you see in these awful lifting compilations. Squatting 365 or sets of 5, but going down about an inch or 2 inches and looking like I'm going to kill myself the entire time. So that was basically my training protocol at the time. I knew nothing about lifting weights, and I never really thought to inform myself. Kind of an idiot, obviously. But anyway, so these guys introduced me not only to what it means to perform the lifts properly, and I can remember very clearly my first session squatting to depth, bringing the weights down to 135 pounds and then 185 pounds, and just doing a few reps with it and realizing that this is a whole new world. But they showed me not only what it meant to train properly and to lift properly, but also what it means to compete in the sport of powerlifting. Because, at this time, I had no idea what the sport of powerlifting even was. I had no concept of it. So I got started in the sport of powerlifting, and I got started training for it actually through these guys. And it happened totally by chance, because at that point, I wasn't really interested in being a powerlifting athlete. I had it in my mind that I was going to train for strength for a while. I was going to develop a baseline strength level. I mean, I wasn't really training properly for it, but this is what I was going to do. And what I was eventually going to do is I was eventually going to get into mixed martial arts. This was actually my brilliant idea, because I was really interested. I wrestled in high school, and I was really interested in combat sports. So that was what appealed to me at the time. I saw my training as sort of a means to an end, and this is the case even when I was 21 years old. This was still the case. This is still what I was thinking about. But they showed me, they introduced me to the sport of powerlifting. At the time, I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about who anybody was in the sport. I knew nothing about what were good numbers or bad numbers. And I basically got started training because of those guys. And started deadlifting, pulled, I think 320 or 330 my first time deadlifting, and pulled 405 about a month after that, and found out that I was pretty good naturally at the deadlift. Found out I was pretty bad at squatting, and squatting took me a long time to develop. But I did my first meet when I was in my first year as a graduate student here at the University of Iowa, which is back a few years. It's in 2009, and I was competing at 148. I cut a little weight to make that weight class, and knew nothing about cutting weight either, so I performed pretty poorly actually on the weight cut and the recomposition. And I remember my openers, and I remember my made attempts still to this day. And I opened at a 275 or 285 squat, 275 bench, and a 500 deadlift. My lifts were a little out of whack at that point. Anyway, hit all three squats, hit 285, 300, and 310. The 310 was brutally difficult, but I hit all three. Actually, what's interesting is there's a B right here in my pepper. So I hit all three of my lifts, and was pretty happy about that on the squat. And then what I found out was that my bench opener was set too high. So what I ended up doing is I ended up bombing out of the competition on my bench press. So my first meet was a bomb out, and I learned a lot about attempt selection after that. I just couldn't press 275. I had done it in training a few times, but with the weight cut and the recomp, I hadn't done it properly at all, and I just didn't have the strength, and it was too heavy as an opener anyway. So I guess the point that I'm making is, after that meet, I took some time just to train and learn more about training, and I competed, I want to say, an intramural meet close to a year later, the following spring, and it was a bench press only meet, and I did at the university, and I did something like a 300 bench at 170 pounds, and after that I just got more interested in the sport again, and I started competing again, and it just goes to show, number one, the importance of introducing people to the sport, because had I not met a few people, had our paths not crossed, I would never even think to train for powerlifting, and now I'm doing pretty well at it. So, and I feel like I've been able to introduce a lot of other people to the sport. And so if you are in powerlifting, if you are affiliated with the sport, my suggestion is just to kind of keep your eyes and ears open. If you find somebody who might be interested, try and encourage them, because a little bit of encouragement goes a long way. I had just a little bit of encouragement, and that was really all I needed. So that's what I try and do for other people. It's what I try and do for our team. I try and get people interested. I try and get people motivated, because you never know who you're gonna, the person that you talk to. If you say the right things to that person, if you really get them interested in the sport, they might end up being somebody who's affiliated with it for 20 years, 30 years. I feel like powerlifting is my biggest passion in life as a hobby, and it's the thing I want to do with the rest of my life. So I'm going to be in this sport. I have no interest in Olympic weightlifting or strongman or bodybuilding. I'm not going to cross over and do anything else. Powerlifting is really what I like to do. Those things are all great, but powerlifting is what I want to do, and I want to be a participant in the sport, not just as a lifter, but also as somebody who contributes in a positive way to the sport. And you'd be surprised what sort of positive changes you can affect just by saying a few things to a few people. So anyway, that's kind of the moral to my story. I sort of started from ignominious origins, and have done better since then, but I was not strong when I started. I was not technically proficient when I started. I really started from the ground up, and I was fortunate to have a few people who steered me in the right direction and showed me a few things. So if you're in a position to steer people in the right direction, or if you're in a position to offer a little guidance, my suggestion is go for it and do it, because sometimes a little bit can go a long way. Anyway, that's it. I gotta take care of this bee, which is scaring me. Keep checking in, more videos soon.